Scientists, scholars, or academics typically abide by commonly set ethical standards. Honesty and truthfulness in teaching and research are a given for these scholars and academics. For context, businessmen constitute one group and politicians another group, and each group is likely heterogeneous as regards ethics in practice. In general, between physical or natural scientists on the one hand and social scientists on the other, the latter, meaning social scientists, perhaps carry a heavier burden of ethics in their work, as by definition, their concerns relate to people and society. Let me now turn to economics as social science, starting with its origins. To do this, I had to review the history of economic thought. It's a course by itself, and the history of economic thought really goes down to the earliest origins of a field, of a course or a special field like economics. So let me start by talking about the genesis of economics. Classical economics, Adam Smith, 1723 to 1790, that was his lifetime, a Scottish philosopher and economist, is known as the founder of modern economics. He wrote an inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations, and then the theory of moral sentiments, which was a real scientific breakthrough. It shows that our moral ideas and actions are a product of our very nature as social creatures. It argues that this social psychology is a better guide to moral action than is reason itself. Adam Smith lectured on moral philosophy also. So he was really a moralist. So the father of modern economics himself was a moral philosopher and a moralist. So very ethical person. Thomas Robert Malthus, born in 1766 and passed away around 1834, wrote an essay on the principles of population and the principles of political economy. His first essay argues that human population increases geometrically while food production increases arithmetically, such that humans would eventually be unable to produce enough food to sustain themselves, resulting in poverty, famine, disease, and so on. Sadly, this sounds somewhat pertinent to the Philippines and some African countries. However, the Malthusian theorem has been disproven by technological developments in developed countries and emerging economies. It is worth noting that Thomas Robert Malthus was an Anglican cleric and a preacher, and therefore ethics and morality in practice was kind of natural for him. Another classical economist was David Ricardo, born 1772 and passed on 1823. He is best known for his theory on wages and profit, the labor theory of value, the theory of comparative advantage, and the theory of wages and rents. His most well-known work is Principles of Political Economy and Taxation. David Ricardo was not a cleric, not an Anglican cleric, but he was a politician and a businessman at the same time. So, in other words, he may not be a cleric, but I think he was also quite conscious about ethical standards. All told, these noted classical economists that I mentioned, Adam Smith, Thomas Robert Malthus, and David Ricardo, were ethical or moralistic, as they were all concerned about human condition, progress, and well-being. Let me now move on to post-classical economics. I'm going to mention two of them. The first one is John Maynard Keynes, 1883 born, 1946 passed away, was an early 20th century British economist, best known as the founder of Keynesian economics and the father of modern macroeconomics, the study of how economies, that is, markets and other systems that operate on a large scale, behave. One of the hallmarks of Keynesian economics is that governments should actively try to influence the course of economies, especially by increasing spending to stimulate demand of households in the face of recession. So again, here we have a post-classical economist that was also concerned about human condition. Another 20th century economist, Milton Friedman, 1912 to 2006, mainly dealt with microeconomics and is known for the Friedman doctrine, also called shareholder theory or stockholder theory, a normative theory of business ethics, which holds that social responsibility of business is to increase its profits. Very materialistic. Among the economists that I have mentioned, this one, Milton Friedman, seems to be ostensibly the most materialistic in his thinking, and you know, among Americans and British scholars, they distinguish between Keynesian economics, based on John Maynard Keynes, which is more to spending to stimulate the economy when recession is showing signs of coming in, whereas Milton Friedman is a monetarist. And among politicians in the U.S., Democrats tend to be Keynesian economists. They follow Keynesian economics, whereas Republicans tend to be monetarists, following Milton Friedman's thinking in economics. So let me now move on to post-World War II economics, which has ramified and really extended so many branches now. Since the Second World War, economic science has expanded and ramified into several areas, one that subsumes several special areas is development economics, which covers inclusive economic growth, meaning economic growth that benefits not only certain segments of the population, but all other segments of the population, the poor, the middle income, and the richer segments of the population. So development economics, as I've said, is concerned with inclusive economic growth, employment, meaning that there are enough jobs for the workforce, which means that household incomes would be adequate and poverty would be minimum to the extent possible, and inequality also brought to a minimum, inequality, meaning that there will be more equal distribution of incomes and employment opportunities. Other areas are, among others, environmental economics, agricultural economics, energy economics, regional and urban economics, demographic economics, which is coming from the Malthusian theory, and of course, economic theory. These various special areas in economics are concerned at different degrees with social and personal ethics. Accordingly, they investigate different social and human conditions at the macro and micro levels to improve the well-being of individuals, households, and society at large toward their full potential. So I hope I was able to elaborate and explicitate on what is ethics in economics. Thank you.